Hello and welcome to Tech Town.
Tech Town.
That's right. I'm Mr. Ellsberg. I'm here with our town wizard.
What's up?
We're here to talk all things tech. This week we're coming at you with phones.
Phones.
Yep, that's
if you
right.
can even call them that anymore. I mean, do you ever call people on your phone?
I call them third arm devices.
Nice.
Yeah, because they're part of me. A phone is
It's true.
is just an extension of myself at this point.
It's true. So yeah, we call them phones or smartphones or mobile devices or whatever. The thing that you want to look at that's pretty small that you take with you that has internets and apps and things.
Exactly. And so today in phones is different than yesterday in phones in a big way, actually.
It's true. So Apple had their event. They always have these events when they're launching new stuff, and this one was for the new iPhones.
Yep.
So we can talk about that. There's plenty on the internet about the iPhones, and so it's not like I'm going to tell you all these little things you never knew about an iPhone or something. But what I want to do is just step back and say, what's the state of all these phones these days?
Right.
So we've got this new Apple thing. Is that something you should rent out and get? You know, it's, a lot of times this season may be the I need to get a new phone season.
Yeah,
it's been 2 years since my last phone, so now get my contract money.
Right. And it's ramping up for the holiday season,
yeah.
which is where they make most of their money, is getting ready for that. I mean, right now you can just pre-order a phone, as in you get it in time for said season.
So yeah, so I say let's just kind of talk about iPhones and Android phones and Windows phones even, and just kind of give the state of what's going on, so that if you're looking to buy a phone or if someone's asking you about a phone, you can at least know a couple of the differences that are different, like you say, than 2 days ago, than last year. Like I totally would have said maybe some of the opposite things a couple years ago,
right?
Because Android didn't quite have it together. Now Android's doing pretty good. So, all right,
cool. Let's jump into it.
All right. So first, iPhones. So iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus were just announced. So you can look all about their features. In general, the couple little features that I think are the main ones are the camera on the 7 Plus has dual cameras.
Right.
So the 7 Plus is like extra good for photos. So you can take, you know, photos that have this angle and the wide angles and camera stuff. It's good.
Right.
If you care about the camera stuff, look into it more, and that's it.
Which is a big part for phones for people, unless they are camera people. Is a lot of times the phone is your chief camera use.
Totally. And this is something that's maybe would have been different a couple years ago. A couple years ago, if you would have gotten an iPhone, it may have had a worse camera that you could sort of tell than maybe this other Android phone, or vice versa. Now the cameras are really good.
Right.
So this isn't like you better get the 7 Plus to get a good camera. It's like, no, you could get the 7 or an Android phone, most phones, and have a pretty good camera.
Right.
So it's that difference between pretty good, really good, and professional that this starts mattering.
Right.
So I wouldn't buy it if you just like, oh, I need a good camera. Is it terrible? Well, no, it's not terrible if you get these other ones. It's just the 7 Plus now has extra fancy good.
Exactly.
Another cool feature, the waterproof or water resistant. So if you drop it in the toilet.
Well, it's really nice for us here in the Pacific Northwest.
That's true too.
You know, to be able to.
We have lots of toilets here.
So many toilets. Oh man.
More than
the land of the toilet.
So yeah, but it is nice. I mean, I'm down with having that. If I don't have one yet, but if I did, waterproof seems like a good one.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And the big news, there's no headphone jack.
Oh man, what do we do? What do we do?
Freak out.
Where do I put my CD?
Yeah, I know. My tape doesn't fit in there anymore. Okay, so we can talk about that if we want. You know, no headphone jack. I think it's a little bit mean, but it's the way of the future.
Right.
So somebody's going to have to do it.
Right.
I kind of don't like it right now, but so my biggest thing, okay, so there's no headphone jack on the new iPhones, meaning the little jack that you always use to plug in your headphones, that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So Apple sells it with the little lightning headphones. So you plug it into that power cord or the power port. They have headphones now that they sell that will do that. Or they have the little dongle, the adapter.
Dangle dongle.
Dangle dongle. Plug in the dangle dongle, and it will convert it into a hole that you can then plug in your phone.
And it looks like we're mostly moving to Bluetooth technology or something like it.
That's the idea. So so a couple little ups and downsides. The upside of not having the headphone thing, you can make the phone a little thinner. It's less to deal with, less things that can go wrong. The waterproof thing, that was important to be able to get rid of that. Now they can make it more easily waterproof. Now the downsides to it, You can't use all your headphones or whatever.
Right.
If you have to use that little dongle, that's one more thing to lose these headphones. So basically, instead of going and buying a $6 pair of headphones like I do online, you can just get cheap little earbuds. You'd have to pay Apple something, you know, whether it's for that dongle or for their headphones. So the plug headphones thing, some issues.
Right.
Now, the Bluetooth thing, but part of the reasons to get rid of that is to not have a headphone plug at all, is to have Bluetooth wireless headphones. We're close with that, but there's a couple, I think, main problems with the wireless headphones. Number one is charging them. You still have to charge them, so you can listen, I think, for 4 hours on some of them.
Right.
But if you're on a long trip or something and having to charge them all the time, sometimes you put them in a little case and the case charges them. Sometimes they have to have the whole thing on. So it'll get better. It's not like it won't, but it's just we're still in this kind of, well, charging them, losing them. If you lost one of the little things, your earbuds,
they're easier to lose.
Definitely easier to lose. And there's two of them. They're not necessarily always connected.
Right.
And then, okay, so audio is worse so far over Bluetooth.
And that's the big thing, right? Or the distance at which you can have your Bluetooth set up.
So so whether it's the distance, the quality, so not even extreme audio files, but even just regular people can tell the difference between audio coming through wireless stuff versus plugged in, and the plugged in is better. So it seems older, but to get the signal straight from there to there is a lot easier than crazy Bluetooth stuff, and maybe even some delay. So that'll get better too. It's not like it's always going to be worse. And there are good Bluetooth headphones that will make it sound good. It's just they're super expensive. Right. So we're in this weird in-between time. Everybody likes to freak out. It's not time to freak out. It's time to just, okay, well, let's transition. It's time. Right. And if all that sounds fine to you, and there's a couple new colors of iPhones, then go ahead and get a new one. Sure, not a problem. Okay. But I don't know. There may be some reasons not to get it. There's still, in general, the iPhone in general, like some of the features that you get. It's pretty good with security. It's pretty simple. Right. Other things like iMessage, you can use.
There's
iMessage.
always a benefit to dragging your feet a little bit with the brand new technology and wait for the 6-month after version. 2.1.
It's true, and that 2.1 may fix some problems, or they found out the security thing, or sometimes they have things that like the phone bends and breaks, and they'll fix that later. So. As much as I'm on the cutting edge, I do usually will wait to buy something like this.
Right, especially something that you're going to spend a lot of money on, and then something that you use all the time. To have this as your primary device, you're kind of going out on a limb.
It's true. A third limb, really. So anyway, that's kind of the iPhone status. Excuse me. So on to Android. Android has had, I'd say, a second coming, let's say. Because before, Android was cool, and it had some promise, and it had a lot of features maybe that the iPhone didn't have, but it was kind of messy. It was slow and clunky. Sometimes it wouldn't get updates. You can do all these fancy features, but sometimes it drains your battery a lot. Now, Android's getting better. So I would say, previously I wouldn't recommend it to someone who didn't know what they were getting themselves into. Now I might. There's still some things to know, though. First is where you're getting the phone from matters, because they may put different things on it. So for example, Google makes these phones called the Nexus 6P and 5X. Those are made by Google, and Google doesn't change things. They just put Android on it, and it's Android, and you use it. Now Samsung puts things on. It'll look a little different. Samsung likes to say, we've got some better software. Sometimes that can do some cool features here and there. Sometimes it just makes things slower and annoying, and you can't uninstall things or whatever. So there's still a choice. You could get it from Google, and even though it's Android, just like Samsung's Android, just like HTC's Android, they may feel a little different, and sometimes you don't want those different stuff. So my recommendation is try to get it as plain Google Android as you can. There's a lot of preloaded wear that comes on to some of these Samsung phones, because they have so many different tentacles and different realms. They might have a fantasy football app that they want you to have, or their brand new game, or whatever that is, and then it ends up, preloaded, and then it can take up a lot of space or just get in the way. And not only preloaded apps, they actually changed the operating system, so it'll look different. It'll have different stuff. So it's apps, it's a few of those things. Now that used to be worse. They're getting better at it. They're sort of realizing people don't like that, and they're kind of paring it down a little bit. And on top of all that, the devices, the phones are getting better. They're getting more powerful. They're actually being able to run multiple things at once when before they sort of could but would crash or something.
Right.
Batteries are getting bigger. They're having new features, like they have like quick charge is kind of new and hot, where you can charge the thing quicker than usual. The jury's still out on that because it may blow up phones, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Right.
But there's still a lot more choices with Android of different phones that you can have and different features. They'll get newer features sooner. It's just that this is now, I think, doable in a way that a couple years ago it'd be painful.
Right.
So I have a couple links to good Android phones if you're interested. The Samsung Galaxy phones are actually supposed to be really good. The S7 and S7 Edge now. The Edge has the little Edge screen thing that's supposedly pretty cool. The Note 7, the Galaxy Note 7 was one of the new phones that just came out. It has the little stylus, which is supposed to be really cool. It's supposed to be like the best Android phone, except it started blowing up on people.
Oh, no.
So if you have one, they started a recall. So go ahead and return it and get a new one, because don't let that blow up in your house. I guess it would just, if these batteries that we have in all of our devices, if they overcharge, they will start to like have real fire problems and blowing up problems. So it's just that our electronics know when to shut off the charging.
Right.
This thing didn't know how to shut off the charging sometimes, and it would get too hot.
Wow. How about that?
So there's cheap Android phones that are good too. That's a category I think is really important, is like a less than $200 Android phone that works well.
Yeah.
And there aren't that many there, especially a couple years ago. But now there are a couple that are pretty good, but a lot that are not.
Right.
So if you're looking for a cheap phone,
or a phone that won't tie you into a long-term contract.
Right, exactly. And even when I say cheap, sometimes it's not cheap, but just something somewhat affordable that won't tie you in some cases. There are some good ones. I've always liked the Motos. So I think actually that got bought by LG. It used to be Motorola. Right. But
hello, Moto.
Exactly, those ones. Those are ones that are pretty cheap, solid, don't slow down too much, can do things.
Nice.
And then there's still things about the operating system too. There's some security problems. Sometimes people can install apps that you don't want, these other preloaded stuff. So there's, some reasons that Android still has a long way to go.
Right.
The updates don't come very quickly. That's the other thing, is if you're on AT&T can block you from getting updated forever.
Right.
Okay, so that's Android. Just a quick wrap up on the other ones. Windows Phone, one near and dear to my heart, at least a while ago, because I got to work on it. Now it's kind of done for. I mean, they still have phones. They call it Windows 10 Mobile, which is actually interesting, because Windows is now saying, we're going to use Windows, the same Windows, but work everywhere. This is kind of their goal for the last 20 years. And now they're getting it. So when you buy a new Windows Phone, it runs this Windows that is the same kind of thing as the Windows on your computer.
Wow.
And what's really cool about that is that you can buy this dock. And this dock will take your phone, it'll plug into the dock, and then plug it into your monitor, and it will look like a computer version of Windows, but it's all running from your phone.
Well, that's cool.
So your phone can really be your computer for everywhere.
Wow.
So imagine plugging in your phone to your computer or to your monitor and then doing work during the day, like working. Your phone can then sort of look like real Windows, because it is real Windows, and you can use Microsoft Word and all these things just from your little phone on a big screen.
Interesting.
So that's a big one, which is your phone can really be powerful enough to be everything these days.
Right.
All you need is just a screen here or there, but nobody's buying it, and that's too bad.
Right. Which is an interesting, maybe that's the future, is that you just have monitors that you buy, and then you just carry around a computer with you.
Exactly, because these things are getting that powerful.
Right.
One quick funny little thing I thought. So you got to check this out. This is a screenshot I just took this morning of Windows, or Microsoft being Microsoft. Okay, so this is when I was searching for Windows Phone. Just this little image right here. It says, oh yeah, well, this is Google search, Windows Phone, windowsphone.com. Look at what Google said. This site may be hacked. That's just in a Google search. Under this, it just says this site may be hacked. I think that's funny for a couple reasons. Number one, it just says this site may be hacked, and I don't know if that's Google trying to get Microsoft or what. Number two, it doesn't say this site may have been hacked.
Right.
It sounds kind of like an invitation. Like, this site may be hacked, if you like. So, should we hack it? Is that what they're trying to say?
Yeah.
All right.
Future tense.
Future tense. We're allowing this site to be hacked if you like. So I thought that was funny. So get it together, Microsoft or Google or whoever. You got to get your Windows Phone things at least not saying they may have been hacked.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, and then a couple others. So there's the Ubuntu phone.
Right.
You may or may not ever hear of this. It may or may not like actually come out with it. But the cool idea about that is that that's an open source phone.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the operating system on there, you can get in, you can change it.
Right.
You know, you can see what's going on, whereas you don't necessarily know what Apple's doing because they keep it all locked down.
Right.
BlackBerry still exists.
Yeah.
They're making phones. It's funny.
That's what the president uses.
It's because they probably have to. They're now selling phones that run BlackBerry's operating system, which is different, whatever, and some that run Android.
Huh.
So you can buy an Android phone that's made by BlackBerry.
Okay.
So that's something.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I feel for you, BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Last but not least,
Mm-hmm.
separate from just the phone itself, but Google Fi.
Right.
You may have talked about this a little before, but it's a cool option. So what it is it's more like you're buying from AT&T or T-Mobile. You buy a Google Fi instead of that. So they become your carrier. Google is like your carrier. You pay Google every month. But what's great about it is it's super cheap and simple.
Right.
So you pay $20 a month and you get unlimited voice and unlimited text.
Mm-hmm.
And then for data, it's just $10 per gigabyte.
Right.
So if you want 1 gigabyte, you pay $10. 2, you pay $20.
Mm-hmm.
And what's cool about that is that they roll over. So if you don't use all your data, the extra that you didn't use gets used the next month.
Right. That's a great move.
There's no contracts. It's not like you sign up for the 2-year thing. It's just month to month.
Mm-hmm.
And international, if you happen to be traveling around the world, you don't pay extra for international data.
Now that
no
is
roaming
awesome.
charges.
Right.
That's huge.
Right. Especially if you are a traveler. I mean, that's where the costs get really astronomical.
Mm-hmm. Right. Using, if you check your email, you're going to be in $10,000. So, so Google Fi, check it out. You can only actually use it on a couple of the phones so far. It's only the Google Nexus phones, I think, right now.
Right.
But it's this whole alternative to AT&T and whatever madness. You pay $20 a month for talking and text, $10 a month for each gigabyte of data.
Yeah.
Boom.
Not bad. So I signed up for it and I was able to use it, but it only works with their Nexus phone.
Right.
That's another part is that, you have to have their phone, and that's why they make it cheap, because they're probably selling your data.
Right. Probably. Oh, yeah. And the other thing to remember is that Google's bottom line for advertising.
Yeah.
So they're going to get you some ads one or another.
Yeah, exactly.
And last cool thing about that is that the phones, these Nexus phones that are for Google Fi, have the antennas to be able to receive all the carrier signals. So
That's
I don't know if people realize, but AT&T is the sort of same technology as T-Mobile.
Right.
Those are different than Verizon and Sprint.
Right.
This phone can do all of it.
That's
so
cool.
if you're in an area where it's just Verizon, you can use it. If it's just AT&T, you can use it.
And it's still up for debate whether or not it goes to the best carrier at the time.
Interesting.
So it could, be trying to connect to the AT&T, tower. But that's the furthest away, because compared to the Verizon towers.
Yeah, interesting. All right, well, let's see how Google does with that.
So boom, there you go.
Boom, there you go. That's the state of the phone.
Yeah, all the things about phones. Which brings us to,
of course,
music.
Site of the week. Or experience of the week in this case. I just want to mention that I went to the Dave Matthews Band concert in the Gorge, at the Gorge Amphitheater in Washington. And it was awesome.
Labor Dave,
exactly. How have I not heard that until right now? Weird. So it was Labor Dave, and I don't know if you guys know Dave Matthews Band. Maybe you remember him from back in the day, and he was playing nice, pleasant songs. But he rocks. Their band rocks. It's awesome. They're like, a great live show. The Gorge Amphitheater is amazing. You have the Gorge right there. They had cool laser shows and everything, but also giant projections onto the Gorge.
Well, that's cool.
So they had giant elephants on the huge Gorge and everything.
I like that.
Great opening band called Lake Street Dive.
Nice.
Check them out on YouTube if you haven't seen them.
Old-timey.
Old-timey. And they were new-timey in the concert, which is kind of cool too. So they had both timies. But just a great weekend. So I think they said that it's going to be the last year Dave Matthews Band was going to do this show at the Gorge.
Whoa. So
maybe you're out of luck and everything I'm saying you just have to ignore. But they may do it again. And if they do, totally recommend it.
Boom. There's that. That's it.
That's this.
Boom, that's this. Which brings us finally to our
security segment. Be secure. So security is an all-time madness. Every day it's just crazier and crazier. Just, at the same time, be very worried and that everything can get hacked, but also it's fine, just live your life. Security, about a couple weeks ago, there was a conference called Black Hat and DEF CON. These conferences are for these elite hackers to get together and tell each other about hacking. And this one is legal because they're like not necessarily hacking things bad necessarily. And they get lots of good information out of this conference that then they do fix the security problems. That's kind of the goal. But Black Hat is a term that means the people that aren't always just hacking for good. Right. It's not just the ones that work for companies that try to find
rogue hackers.
A little more rogue hackers. So a lot of cool stuff came out of that. A lot of bad security problems and a lot of different things. I have a link to a podcast that talks about sort of a recap of it, and it's the Security Now podcast, which is good. But check it out. It's interesting because all these people get together. It's a generally known rule: never, ever, ever turn your phone off of airplane mode. Don't even turn your phone on. If you turn your phone on, it's going to get hacked so quickly by everybody around you. They said at the beginning of the conference, they noted there were 8 cell towers around the area. 8, cell towers, make cell phones. By the end, there were 42 because people put up rogue cell towers that your phone tries to connect to, and then they hack you.
Wow.
So people just put up cell towers and hack it all.
Crazy. Well, there's that.
So
good luck with that.
We'll see you next year at Black Hat.
All right. So we talked all things phone. We talked the new Apple phone. We talked the Nexus and the different Android phones. We talked the Windows phones, the Ubuntu, BlackBerry phones. We went over Google Fi. We talked about the music experience of Labor Day. And finally, Black Hat. You're done.
You're done.
You can do.
You probably already got that.
All right, that's all here from Tech Town. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for joining us here at Tech Town.
Tech Town.